Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the quorum call be vitiated.
Without objection.
It's
So ordered.
unanimous consent to speak as if in morning business.
Without objection. So ordered.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I actually rise today in support of the 2013 Water Resources Development Act and the conference report. I agree with my colleagues who have spoken on this, colleagues who believe that passing this conference report is important for our communities. As a ranking member of the Subcommittee on Transportation and Infrastructure, and as one of the members of the conference committee coming out with this report, I believe that the agreement we have here today addresses the issues facing the Army Corps of Engineers and facing our country. We have problems in this country, Mr. President, with aging infrastructure. We have problems with a lack of transparency, and we have problems with fiscal accountability, all of which impact public health, public safety, and also impact environmental welfare of our communities. So, Mr. President, as a conferee, my staff and I have worked with our colleagues on both sides of the aisle, both sides of the building, House and Senate, to create a bipartisan product to address these real concerns. Now, we may have our differences on some key issues, but the bulk of what we have accomplished is about protecting our states. It's about protecting our constituents, and it was not about partisan politics. For example, issues such as flood mitigation, very important to my home state of Wyoming. Predicting floods and being able and better prepared for them is a major component in keeping Wyoming and other Western communities safe. That's why we have successfully included language in this bill for the authorization of the Upper Missouri Basin Flood and Drought Monitoring. This program will restore the stream gauges and the snowpack monitors through the Upper Missouri Basin at all elevations. Now, these gauges are used to monitor snow depth and soil moisture to help inform agencies like the Corps of Engineers as to potential flooding and also drought in the future. This type of monitoring will help protect communities and will save lives. We also included language in this bill for technical assistance to help rural communities comply with environmental regulations. Rural communities often don't have the expertise or the funding to make important upgrades to their water systems. Dedicated professionals such as the folks at the Wyoming Rural Water Association, well, they use this funding to go into those communities and to provide the critical assistance that these people need. We also secured an agreement that establishes a 5-year pilot program known as the Water Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act. This program to allow the Corps of Engineers and Environmental Protection Agency to provide loans and loan guarantees for flood control, for community water systems, for aging water distribution facilities, and for wastewater infrastructure projects. It also includes language that makes tribes eligible for the loans. As I mentioned, Mr. President, transparency and fiscal responsibility are also important components to tackling the issues that need to be addressed with the Army Corps of Engineers. That's why we've included language in the conference report to create an Army Corps project deauthorization process. Under this process, the Army Corps would identify projects for deauthorization based on established criteria. And then, after taking public input, submit those projects as a single package for an up or down vote in the Congress. There are many of these projects, Mr. President, that are on the books, have been on the books for extended periods of time, and they authorize the expenditure of millions of taxpayer dollars. And, Mr. President, these are projects that are going nowhere. Under this conference report, the Corps would have to propose a list of the projects to cut. The list would total $18 billion and would be sent to Congress for this up or down vote. Well, $18 billion, Mr. President, is more than enough to offset the entire total authorization of this piece of legislation. It truly is time, Mr. President, for the Corps of Engineers and for Congress to clean the books, cut the waste, and bring fiscal responsibility to this WRDA process. So I want to thank my colleagues, including Chairman Boxer, Ranking Member Vitter, and former Senator and Subcommittee Ranking Member Max Baucus for the bipartisan process that this bill was considered under. Now, the conference report is not perfect, but I believe that we have achieved a product that is substantive, effective, and in the public interest. It's a product that will save lives, maintain the flow of commerce, and protect communities for years to come. I therefore urge my colleagues on both sides of the floor to support this conference report. And once again, thank you, Mr. President, thank the committee colleagues for their willingness to work together on this bill. I yield the floor. Suggest the absence of a quorum.